Donna Adelson's trial is finally here, and we got a lot to unpack. Welcome back to Moms for Justice, or shall I appropriately rename it Moms Behind Bars, the Donna Adelson edition. We are gearing up for one of the biggest trials, I think, in all of the United States. If you don't know about this case, you're probably living under a rock. It's huge. It's huge, and it's been 11 years in the making of bringing down person after person for the murder of Dan Markel. So, like I said, we have a lot to unpack. Judge Everett has left the building. Okay, he's gone ahead and quashed the Wendy Adelson subpoena by the defense. This is not news. This has happened many times before. She's done this in the last couple trials. I totally expected this to happen. So what does it all mean? Well, the defense cannot grant immunity, but the prosecution can. Okay, and because of that, Wendy is basically saying that I will invoke my Fifth Amendment right. So the defense can, though, cross-examine anything the prosecution asks her. So just like last time, it's really no different. However, I am assuming that Donna Adelson is really, really pissed about this, right? Because number one, her daughter is saying, I'm not going to help you. Okay, that's what that means. I'm not going to get on the stand and answer any of your attorney's questions. So I'm sure my opinion is that Donna would be really pissed about this. And also, I think one of the biggest reasons why Donna is going to be pissed is because she actually thinks she can win this case, right? She is that confident that she can walk away free. And the fact that she has declared that she will testify is a testimony to narcissism in itself. Do you know what I mean? Just to be, and I wonder, because most of the defense attorneys, you know, with a case that's, in my opinion, slam dunk, would say to her, don't testify. That would be their recommendation, right? A lot of attorneys, but they have to allow her to decide. It's her choice, and it has, you know, if she wants to testify, she's got to testify. But their counsel should be, don't testify. You're going to bury yourself. But she is insisting. Most defendants, they'll follow their attorney's advice and be like, okay, I won't, right? But this speaks volumes about this woman, right? So yeah, that in itself is very, very troubling. But it's going to be so good for us because there are so many things. I'm going to go over a couple things that I think is going to completely bury her. I'm going to go over what I think her defense is going to be. And yeah, we'll get into that. But there's more stuff I want to talk about. Before we get started, if you think Donna Adelson is going to be found guilty, or you want her to be found guilty, give me a like on this video right now. Make sure you subscribe and share the channel with everybody you know. We're a newer channel. We've only been around for like about a year. And the support has been amazing. And I love all you guys and all my viewers. Keep the comments coming below, and that would be awesome. So the Leon County Jail is pretty much like the Adelson Institute now. There's a picture of it. There's the Leon County Detention Center. And we have both Donna and Charlie there now. Okay, so he was transported back just like a couple days ago from, I think it's, South Dakota. And he is now there alongside his mother. And Louis Rivera is there. And I heard that Katie is also there. But that one, I'm not 100% sure if she is at the Leon County Detention Center or if she was transported to Wakulla, I think it is, which is not far from there. That I'm going to have to get a confirmation of. But so yeah, everybody's coming in. Wendy's attorney was there today. Just everybody is starting to come in. And Harvey was seen today. Guys, he's looking a little too happy here. I mean, what is up with this? He either really does have like some sort of dementia, I'd imagine, or he's just as confident as Donna. I mean, what's up with this hand gesture? I mean, did they get him in a weird, was he coming out of the bathroom or something? Was he, it looks like maybe he's, gesturing, hey, take a picture of me. Or maybe he is, saluting somebody. I don't know what he's doing, but he looks awfully happy for a man who is really in hot water. And look at this picture. Look, look how she's looking at him like they're in love and they just met. She's got to be just wow. I have no words. So take a look inside the Leon County Detention Center right here. Okay, so men and women are kept separate, as I think most of you probably figured. So they won't see each other, Donna and Charlie. But one asked, could Louis Rivera and Charlie ever hang out like in the quad because they've got pod rooms around the top? No, the answer is no for a couple reasons. Both need to be protected from each other and for the integrity of this trial. But in addition to that, Charlie is also very high profile anyway. And I am assuming that he is to be kept isolated from the others at all times just from his notoriety alone. I mean, think about it. Now, the women are kept completely someplace else, but even if they were allowed to like see each other, just all these, anyone that's being held here that is participating and being held for the purpose of testifying in a trial, they will go out of their way to keep them apart so that they don't discuss or influence each other. But yeah, this is it. This is the Leon County Detention Center, and this is where they're being held right now. And Charlie spent a long time here. And these phone calls that are all over the internet, they happened here. And Donna Adelson has been here now. She just came back from, I think they've all at one point been at the Wakalusa, I think it's called, prison. But, this is home base when you're in trouble. For the Dan Markel murder, this is where you're going to hang out and wait to be transferred. And this is where they're all at right now. So guys, this is the trial that is going to be so epic. It's the one we've waited for 11 years. And I would say the most anticipated witnesses for this trial are, of course, daughter Wendy Adelson, ex-wife of the victim, FSU law professor Dan Markel, who was gunned down in his driveway on July 18th, 2014. Just absolute tragedy. And what unfolded afterwards, nobody would have ever guessed. And as I've said before, you can't read it in your most action-packed, best fiction novel that you can find in your bookshelf. You just can't. Again, gunned down, 2 hitmen. A girlfriend of Charlie Adelson's in the middle of it all, facilitating it, arranging it with these 2 hitmen. And it was all brought on by Charlie asking Katie, hey, can you help me out? On Halloween, he said, hey, can you take care of somebody for me? Then it trickles to, where did that come from? Well, it came from his mother, Donna Adelson, who he's super attached to. And there is a chemistry in that family where she just has a major hold over her family. And you know this by listening to the wiretaps, and you know this by testimony, emails to Wendy. I mean, it's absurd that a mother could be this involved and controlling over her children who are in their late 30s, their early 40s. I mean, do you guys remember the Sante Kimes case? There's a woman, Sante Kimes, and she and her son were just crazy, just absolutely crazy. They were a different case, but it was like she was a con woman and she conned her own son to do things for her. And, I do feel a little sorry for Charlie because I do think that he got caught up in it. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Charlie. Who is Charlie, if you don't know? Ferrari driving periodontist who did everything his mama said, was a very protective brother. This is in the testimony that he is a protective brother of Wendy Adelson, his sister. So, yeah, Charlie, as it turns out, the evidence we all believe will show and has already been out there is that Donna and Charlie, mother and son, did this together. And then there's the big question. Is daughter Wendy involved in it? A lot of people believe that she is. I do believe she is involved. I do. So both arranged by Katie Magbanua, the hitmen, to go down and shoot Dan Markel. So yes, the maestro, Charlie Adelson, is scheduled to testify. But that really remains to be seen, right? Because I'm confused about this one as Charlie as a witness. On one hand, he is currently in the middle of an appeal. So I fully expect him to, you know, plead the fifth, but then on the other hand, I think to myself, why would we waste taxpayers' money to transport him all the way from South Dakota if there wasn't something going to happen? I don't think Judge Everett or Charlie's attorneys or even Donna's, I always say Donna's attorneys would allow that transport to happen just to find out that he's going to plead the fifth. So I have high hopes that he is going to say something, but I also have a lot of doubts about it. It's important to note that just because there is this long laundry list of witnesses that are expected to testify and the witness list has been talked about, that doesn't mean that they will actually testify just because they're on that list. This is an intention. It's very intentional on the prosecution's part. This is who we want. This is who we're going to call. Is it going to pan out that way? It doesn't always. And I fully also expect some of the names that we thought would testify will not. And there are some that obviously will come through and will be giving us, hopefully filling in a lot of the missing pieces that we have been, longing for 11 years. Other witnesses are Katie. Will she tell us finally how she was notified that the hit was done? If you all remember, very shortly after this crime occurred, a phone call was made by Sigfredo, overheard by Louis Rivera, where Sigfredo says, "It's done." And Katie said, "I know." Well, how did she find out? It was either by Wendy or Charlie. That's my opinion, that it's either Wendy or Charlie, but I do happen to think that it's most likely Wendy. And the reason why is because she drove by the crime scene, which even Charlie said was stupid. Even Charlie, on multiple phone calls, would not shut up about the fact, how could she be so stupid to drive by? Like, what was she thinking? And even Georgia said, how could she drive by there? She just couldn't help herself. So yeah, I want that question answered. Will we get it answered? I don't know. We need WhatsApp messages off of Wendy's phone. Will they come through with that in the trial? I sure hope so. And I hope it answers that question. And I hope that there is a WhatsApp message between Katie and Wendy that day. I also think that because she says she was on the phone, Wendy was on the phone with somebody that was out of the country, that maybe she had somebody out of the country contact Katie and let Katie know that the job had been done. Sarah Youssef, she is supposed to testify. What do I expect from Sarah Youssef? Well, probably not much, because there's a lot of things that probably might be considered irrelevant. But what I do know is that Sarah will likely speak about being in Donna Adelson's kitchen and Donna was bad-mouthing Dan Markel, who at that point is her dead ex-son-in-law and the father of her grandchildren. And she's speaking so disgusting about Dan Markel. I would assume that Sarah will come forward and talk about that, plus anything that she knows firsthand knowledge about with that family. I think it would have to be firsthand knowledge, though. I don't think it will be allowed in any other way, because then it would be considered hearsay. And then there is Rob Adelson. Robert Adelson is a tragedy in itself. This is the only other immediate family member of the Adelsons that really got the short end of the stick here. Robert Adelson is the oldest son of Donna and Harvey Adelson. He ran for the hills, okay? Thank God he ran for the hills. So Robert Adelson is the oldest son who has a history of being at odds with his mom and dad over the fact that he was in love with a woman that was not Jewish. He wanted to be with her. And Harvey and Donna, especially Donna, her controlling ways, basically threatened Robert that he could not be with this woman and put so much pressure on this man that he dumped the woman he loved and then found a Jewish girl, married her, and then realized I can't do this anymore. He was too in love with the first girl. So he eventually did the right thing. Thank goodness. I mean, really, Rob, I commend you because you're the only one that I've at least heard of, according to the information and evidence, that stood up to Donna Adelson, your mother. I mean, you weren't going to let this woman run your life. And I applaud you. I so appreciate the integrity that you have. And you were willing, as painful as it must have been, to walk away from this family so that you could have a happy life and be with the one that you're in love with. And I, that in itself is a painful experience that somebody goes through, and you lose your family that way. I mean, why couldn't you just support him? Why couldn't you just love your son and let him be with the woman he wanted to be with? Well, anyway, so the word is he finally does marry the one he wants, and they're together now with 2 kids. And the word is, according to Wendy and testimony, that everything ended up being okay, that Harvey and Donna came around and decided to accept Rob. Okay. There's a lot of missing pieces here we don't know about, and we're hoping that he will fill that in. But things still weren't quite right. They weren't. He was estranged from Wendy, according to her, that she didn't really talk to her brother anymore. And then you got Charlie, who made a comment about, I don't really think my mother likes Rob very much. This was all on the stand, evidence given. So there's more to that relationship. But one thing we do know is that Rob did go down to Harvey's birthday party that week, where Charlie, Wendy, and Rob, Harvey, Donna, they're all there, and it's just prior to the murder. This is the famous paella. They ordered paella and for this party, and it is strongly believed by many that possibly he heard things down there. And we feel pretty confident about Charlie and Donna, but maybe he heard Wendy in on these conversations. Maybe we will find that out. I do know this, that whatever he does know, Donna is terrified of. Terrified. Because I'm hearing, this was going around about a wiretap of Harvey and Donna talking about harming Rob Adelson. There is obviously a desperation to not have this son of hers come forward and speak. What does he have to say? Well, we're going to find out really soon. And I do think that he will be very early in the trial. He is on the witness list. Like I said, just because someone's on the witness list doesn't mean that they're going to come forward. But as of right now, we can expect Robert Adelson. I think it's going to be the biggest, most anticipated witness of everyone. Okay, so let's talk about Donna's defense. We could go on and on about that, right? So what do you think her defense will be? Please comment that below. I want to see what everybody says. But she has some serious issues. Here's one.
When you were afraid of being arrested right after Charlie Adelson's trial, isn't it true that you hoped that you could get to the airport before you were arrested?
I wasn't afraid of being arrested.
What were you trying to get to the airport in time for? In that jail cell?
My husband and I were literally shocked and traumatized at what had happened to Charlie. And he said, we need to just get some peace. We need to catch our breath. We're going to go away somewhere. And I thought it was a good idea because I couldn't think straight. I really couldn't think straight. I was so upset, and so was he. And it was his idea. He said, sweetheart, let's go, just get away. We're going to just get away somewhere so we can have some time to think.
A vacation?
I'll have to tell her we're leaving the country. They're not recording my phone. If they are, they will just stop.
Busted, a hot mic.
I mean, what am I going to do? I can't write it. Dan says don't put anything in writing. I can't. What am I supposed to do? Should I? I can't. So I'm supposed to call Dan, but that line is recorded because I don't have a private line with Dan. So they can either hear me tell Dan to call Annie, or they're going to hear me tell Annie. They might as well hear me. Yeah. I mean, what's the option? Call Annie Cunningham.
Okay, so your testimony is that you weren't trying to go to Vietnam because you wouldn't be able to be extradited from there.
So my husband actually had said, you know, we've been to Vietnam before with friends. We were on vacation, and it really was like a place of peace. And so he said, if we go to a non-extradition country, then if the law enforcement decided that they wanted to arrest you or me, whatever, both, he said, we won't be sitting in a foreign prison waiting months to go back. We can buy a ticket and we can go home. And my understanding was that I could go home and I could turn myself in if that's what they wanted.
Right. But if it was just a place for peace, like a vacation to relax, nobody would just buy a one-way ticket. That's the problem she's having here.
Okay, but you were hoping to make it out of America in time before you were arrested, right?
I wanted to get away. He wanted to get away. That's what we wanted to do. And it wasn't, we spoke to our attorneys. I asked them. They said there's no pending. We purposely called them to make sure it was legal to do it. And they said there's no, what were their words? There's no pending charges and there's no warrants. So you want to go. And so I thought you ask your attorneys and they tell you that. I'm going.
Let me ask you something. Is Daniel Rashbaum going to come forward and testify for her on this? Because I don't think he's going to say that. I don't know what the proper words are for this, but wouldn't that make him lose his law license by encouraging somebody who's clearly in the hot seat? The whole family has been in the hot seat. The son just gets thrown in jail. Wouldn't he lose his law license if he admits that he encouraged her to take a one-way ticket to Vietnam or even leave the U.S. under any circumstances? Wouldn't that, again, another question for Carl Steinbeck.
But Dan did tell you, as you say in the jail call, that knowing what they're thinking up there, I don't know if you'll make it out in time. I really don't. But that he said you might, or you might get to the airport and they'll stop you. It could happen.
That's what he said.
Right.
I would like to hear that question be asked this coming week.
So you went to the airport knowing that it could happen. They could stop you at the airport. You could end up being arrested.
Yeah, that's what Dan said.
Right. And when you were looking at places to go those couple of days after Charlie Adelson's trial, you were specifically looking, though, for countries that did not have extradition with the U.S.
For the reason I just told you.
Right.
Boom. And I would find it really hard to believe that Dan Rashbaum said all these things that she's saying he said. Another big one for me is the phone call that Donna made to Charlie after the bump, where Donna Adelson was approached by an undercover FBI agent posing as Louis Rivera's associate. She was handed like a flyer or paper demanding $5,000 and referencing the Adelson family's support for others involved, that they were taking care of Sigfredo and Katie, but was not taking care of Louis Rivera. So this was all to prompt Donna to go and contact Charlie and start talking. And they had wiretaps set up, ready to go, and that's exactly what happened. When Charlie asked Donna, what is this about? She indicated that it was about us, meaning Donna and Charlie. Now, I will say she doesn't mention Wendy there. But then again, it is very much believed that one of the reasons why maybe she didn't mention Wendy was because they were trying to protect Wendy. right? They didn't want Wendy to get into any trouble for this. So by keeping her out of it, and Harvey too, because Harvey was having health issues and they didn't want, Harvey to have any kind of cardiac arrest or anything, that could be why she said us. And then to say this TV is going to cost $5, well, there's TVs in this case. There's a TV in this case, right? Couldn't you say something else? I mean, I'm not trying to help them out here, but really, really dumb. Okay, so the money, the checks, 44 checks paid to Catherine Magbanua, signed by Donna Adelson. For what? Harvey also gave her a car. That doesn't really affect Donna, but they're married at the same time, so Donna would have been aware of the car. She would have known about the car. Any wife that finds out that some young girl is driving around in a car that my husband gave her, I'd have questions, wouldn't you? So she either agreed, okay, or there was some scheme going on where Harvey gave that car over and made sure there was no way that Donna would ever know about it. Well, that's impossible. So I'm back to the first thing. Donna Adelson had to know that they gave an older car to Katie. Motive evidence. Okay, this one is huge. Donna is swimming in motive evidence. What do I mean by motive evidence? The emails showing her motive, her hatred, her involvement in the relocation attempts from Wendy, the encouragement for Wendy, the coaxing and the almost threatening manner in which Donna is telling Wendy that she knows how to be a good actress and she needs to, she didn't say this, but in so many words, put on her big girl panties and start making demands, encouraging the most outlandish, ridiculous things like dressing them up in Hitler Youth uniforms, threatening Christianity on the kids, just things that are just so grotesque, so over the top for any mother to behave this way. I think the jury is going to I think they're going to really dislike Donna. I really do. I think they're going to be very unforgiving when they see the things she wrote that involved her own grandchildren. So what will be her defense? Well, here's my opinion. So first of all, by testifying, she's going to want to mitigate all that evidence, that damaging evidence against her, the emails and all that. So she's going to do a lot of talking about that and then try to have excuse after excuse as to why she did those things. But I think it's all going to tie into one thing. When it comes to the murder, I think it'll be that Charlie came to her and told her that he was being extorted. And because she's a loving mother and her son was in trouble, she just wanted to help him and assumed that he was taking care of everything and that she would just do what she's told and write those checks out to Katie and participate in any of the phone calls that they had simply because she thought that he was being extorted. It's not going to work because she did a money drop and the money drop doesn't fit in with that theory. Right. So remember her driving on by and dropping off the money and something about the money being wet, like she had laundered it. Please keep in mind that there are things that will come out in this trial that we didn't know about. So when I say the attempt to flee, to go to Vietnam, is going to sink her, I think that there is going to be maybe even some things bigger than that. We still have to hear Robert Adelson's testimony. We really don't know what Wendy is going to say. We can only go by the last 3 testimonies that she has had, but she might say something different this time. We have her previous testimonies have pretty much there's been some lies. We know that there's been some lies, but we know her story and the story she's going to tell based on that. Will she say something different this time? Will she say something that is going to incriminate her mom? Then you got Katie. Katie might say something. Sarah Youssef might say something. So switching gears now a little bit, but I do think this is important. So Local 10 Miami reported that on November 12th, 2023, a family friend notified authorities that Don and Harvey were asking for advice about airlines and places to stay in Southeast Asia as they prepared to fly to Vietnam. Donna was arrested the very next day at the Miami International Airport while boarding that one-way flight to Vietnam. She didn't end up getting on, as you all know. The report does not name the friend, but it is believed that that person is Scott Radius. Okay, so who is Scott Radius? Okay, so he was a friend and a financial business partner with Charlie. The rumor is that Charlie paid Scott for a villa, but never signed the contract. Gave him like $157,000, but did not sign the contract. And then Harvey tried to get the money back. Okay. Scott was told by Harvey eventually that they were going to be leaving for Vietnam and not to let Charlie know. Great parents, right? Because they're essentially skipping out on him, right? And they were on the phone with Charlie saying, oh, we're here for you and all that stuff. Meanwhile, they're packing their bags and going to Vietnam. So it is believed that after that, Scott then contacts the Tallahassee Police Department to let them know that this is about to go down and they need to go arrest them. They're about to leave the country. Pretty damning if Scott Radius comes forward and testifies to this. I personally believe that if this is all true, that there's a motive for Scott Radius to have sold them down the river because he probably didn't want to pay back that $157,000. And that would get him out of having to come up with that money and pay it back. And Harvey was knocking on his door about it. So again, just my opinion. There are so many more witnesses that are going to be in this trial. What are you guys doing for the trial? I am in agreement that I will not want to go live during the trial because I think it's really important that everybody enjoy it and listen and be in tune. And I don't want to be that yapper that's talking over the testimony. But what I am going to do is on the most important days of testimony, I am going to come on live during the lunch breaks. So Moms for Justice will be live during the lunch breaks. So we'll also be doing a couple live episodes with the podcast with Carolyn and Jocelyn in the evenings as well. So check in with us there. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share the channel, and I will see you next time.